As you may already know, I am an educator, and I have noticed many inequities in how men and women are being represented in this educational environment. In this video, I plan to talk about some of these inequities that I've noticed. Now, as I mentioned in my More on Misandry video, I've had to put up with people specifically requesting female tutors. And as I've mentioned in my Equal Opportunity versus Equal Outcomes video, I've also had to deal with legal discrimination. So I won't go into all that again. But there are some other things that really grind my gears that I want to talk about. Now, I've been teaching and tutoring for 4 years now, and I've come to notice how the educational environment is much friendlier to the female gender when it comes to both students and educators. And I just want to mention some of the different things that I've noticed with that. Before I got the teaching job at the college, I tried to get a job as a high school teacher, and I noticed that everybody who I had to contact if I had questions about anything would be female. If I ever needed to call about something, a woman would always pick up the phone. I never spoke with a male. If there was someone I had to email, sure enough, that someone was also female. I had some questions about the application process, and certain people could only handle certain types of questions. All in all, I had help from 5 different people, all of them female. When I took the certification exams, all the proctors were female, every time. In fact, one of the certification exam questions involved a hypothetical scenario where a female student was being picked on for being female, and it was one of those what would you do type questions. Once again, there's this idea that only females could ever face sexism. I really couldn't imagine them asking a question similar to that where a boy is facing the sexism this time. It's hard to imagine not because it doesn't exist, but because many people out there don't believe it exists. So they can never imagine such a scenario, and it's a real shame. Anyway, when I went to get fingerprinted, everybody in the office was female. In fact, I have never seen one male employee in the school district's human resources department at all. The same goes for the college. Imagine if it was all men, how quickly people would say, "We need to hire women here. You know, balance things out. We don't want to look like we're sexist." But what happens when it's all women? That doesn't make you seem sexist? Nope. That's just fine, isn't it? You know, with the exception of jobs like construction, roadwork, coal mining, etc., feminists will always say something about the underrepresentation of females in the workplace. But if males are non-existent in the workplace, then where are the feminists? I can't help but think about how a reversal of this would be enough for someone to yell, "Discrimination! You need to hire some women." But somehow this isn't viewed the same way. When I had orientation for graduate school, part of the presentation was some woman on the podium giving the demographics for the college throughout the years. She had shown a pie chart for the demographics in the 70s, and it showed that the males and Caucasians were taking up most of the chart, and how throughout the years the smaller slices were getting larger and larger, while the white male slice was getting smaller and smaller. And of course she was talking about this as if it was a good thing. But think about how someone like me sitting there should feel about this. The pie slice that I fit into is getting smaller, and they are saying that is a good thing? That's messed up. Way to make me feel welcome. After the orientation, you get an email and are asked to fill in a feedback survey. And in the comments section, I made sure to tell them that I didn't care for the demographics presentation and that it was not necessary to the orientation. Why do we have to know this information anyway? Who cares? Every time I walked around campus, it was very uncommon to find males. I would estimate that out of every 10 people I would see walking around on campus, one of them was male. 2 tops. I suppose all those scholarships out there for women only had a helping hand with that. Funny how when more than half of the college campus was male, the reaction is, "Oh, this is so unfair, let's have more females here." But nowadays, when you walk around and see mostly females, and they make up over half the student population, that's okay. Nobody seems to be around to say, "Oh, well, what about the men? This is so unfair." At the college where I teach, I've seen some things that really got my blood boiling. Women and, quote, minorities, end quote, are always at the front and center of catalogs, websites, posters, etc. If you are to see white males, you'll be lucky to see one blurred in the background, or perhaps a shot of their elbow that just barely made it into the shot. But when do you see a better shot of most of the white males? When there is an association with something negative, of course. There was one flyer posted where they showed a picture of a man, and underneath it read, "Don't be like Mike. Schedule your classes on time and avoid the late fee." There was also another poster where they were warning people about the flu and advising people to wash their hands, and the poster had a picture of someone sneezing, and you could see the sneeze mist spraying all over the place. Of course, who was depicted doing that? A man, of course. Now, this video is about gender, not race, but I just want to point out for the record that it was white men being depicted in these posters. Anyway, interesting how they picked a man for that. Are we to believe that women don't sneeze? I mean, can women ever be shown doing anything remotely disgusting or unappealing? Why do they always have to be portrayed like perfect beings all the time? Or what about maybe we have, "Don't be like Michelle, schedule your classes on time and avoid the late fee." Oh yeah, I forgot, because women are just so perfect. They always schedule their classes on time. Only men are the irresponsible dopes that are late with everything. I also saw another flyer posted on the bulletin board with the number to call for help with eating disorders. And the first bullet point was, "Are you female?" And the word female was written in bold. Clearly they wanted to really emphasize that this is for females only, as it was mentioned first and in bold. Now I'm thinking, why not men? What about men who may suffer from an eating disorder? Are they not deserving of this help? Now some people watching this may say, "You know, Vinny, you really need to relax. I'm sure even you'd agree that it's mainly women who suffer from eating disorders, not men." Okay, let's just say, for the sake of argument, that that is a true statement. A man can still suffer from an eating disorder. So just because he may be in the minority, he can't seek help here? Why does he have to be turned down? Why can't it just be all are welcome, and whoever seeks help gets it? You may not get a lot of guys anyway, but that doesn't mean they should be turned down in the event that they do need help. It's amazing how in this day and age, such blatant discrimination against men exists and is allowed to go on. None of this would ever fly if you turned the genders around here. Another thing that I noticed is that the vast majority of the people that are on the front cover of test prep books and on educational websites are female. Sure, you may find some men on the front cover of some of these test prep books and the educational websites here and there, but that's nowhere near as common. It's very hard to find men, particularly white males, in a picture for anything related to education, unless of course it's a negative depiction. You have a better chance of finding Waldo right here. One of the computer programs I have to use in my class is called Alex, and it's guilty of the same thing. Take a look. It's ironic how white males, the group that is still considered to be the majority by the way, is nowhere to be found here. Okay, the last thing I want to talk about is this email that I got from the college. I'd like for you to take a look at an email that I got on October 13th at 2:30 p.m. The nomination forms for Women's History Month honorees are attached. The first form is for community women, and the second form is for student honorees. We welcome your nominations of outstanding women in the county areas for this recognition. In addition, we will honor 5 outstanding female students, and your nominations of deserving students are most helpful to our committee. Please consider nominating an outstanding female student for this honor. Ooh, and look how it's in red. This is some serious business right here. Please provide as much information as possible about any community woman or student whom you choose to nominate. Oh, well, isn't that nice? You have a nice little ceremony here to honor outstanding women. You know, I would call something like this sexist, but you know what? If they have something like this for men, then it wouldn't be sexist. I mean, after all, if there's something like this for females only, wouldn't it be fair if there was something like this for men only? I wonder if we have something like this for men only. Let's find out. So I responded to that email with this. Is there something like this for men? Do you have an event where 5 male students will be nominated and honored? 2 minutes later, I got a reply. That didn't take very long now, did it? It says, "No, actually, we don't." Well, I can't say that I'm surprised. Our college has celebrations for Black History Month in February and Women's History Month in March, both based on national celebrations. A number of men are honored in connection with Black History Month. So it's not enough to have your own months, you have to have your own award ceremony too? I couldn't imagine an award ceremony where only men or white people can be nominated. Can you?
No.
So this was my response to that. Thank you for your response. So we have celebrations for one particular gender and one particular race. This leaves many people out. Namely, non-black males will not have their own celebration or be honored simply because they were not born a particular race and gender. It's really not fair to leave people out like that. If women can have their own celebration, I don't see why men can't. And do you want to know what her response to that was? Yeah, that's right. Nothing. I'm still waiting for your response, Doctor.